Hello Aquarius! Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is your weekly tarot forecast. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. And that way you won't miss any of the weekly or monthly tarot readings that we do for your sign. All right, now let's just get into it and see what is the message coming through for Aquarius for this coming week. All right. First card, Five of Wands. All right, let's put that into some context with our Dove and Serpent spread. Ooh, interesting stuff here. All right, we're going to lay down our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. We're not going to look at that until the very end, and we're going to see if that will tie the reading together or give us that confirmation that we're looking for, okay? So, as I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think it might be a bit of a struggle this week. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I hope you'll stick around to see how this is all going to play out, because I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. And the first thing that we're going to look at, of course, is that Five of Wands. There's some sort of fight, some sort of battle, some sort of conflict or friction, something going on that you really are going to have to use all of your force and fire to conquer, right? And what we see crossing your path today is, unfortunately, a little bit of this Seven of Discs, right? This is just a little bit of failure, of things not really panning out the way that you want them to. It's a lot of work and a lot of struggle, not a whole lot of reward for it, okay? So, right off the bat, I'm not sure if this is a situation maybe at work. Seems like it might be, it might be in terms of the workplace. I think it's in terms of a larger group of people, to be sure, right? And that could be at the workplace. It could be at your church, temple, lodge, order. It could be at home, too, with roommates or something like that. But I see there's a larger group of people involved. And I really think that you're going to have to fight for your success this week, right? You're really going to have to kind of put in that extra effort in order to get some sort of achievement out of this. However, it doesn't, with this Seven of Discs, it seems like it's going to be a lot of work, but very little reward, okay? So what is the purpose of doing all this work? Why should you keep fighting? Let's find out, because there are some other cards here that I really think shed a little bit of light onto this battle that you're in and what it might be regarding. But I know right away, there's really going to be no immediate financial gain from this battle, right? You're going to put in a lot of work. You're going to use all of your force and fire in this situation. But the material rewards perhaps are coming later, right? Now, let's put that into some context. In the immediate past, we've got the Hanged Man. So I think this is kind of the issue that's brought you here today. I think you're in this awkward position. I think that you are just kind of in limbo with something, maybe in the workplace, involving a larger group of people, and we'll get to that in a second, why I think that is. But in the context of this larger group of people, you are in kind of a state of limbo. You're in an awkward position. Things are kind of stalled out. Things are not really progressing. Things are just in suspension, right? Like the Hanged Man here. And this is doing a couple things. One, this has got you kind of over a barrel. It's got you in a bad spot. And I think to get out of this bad spot, you're going to have to utilize this force and fire we see with the Five of Wands. Okay. And also, this position that you're in is forcing you to reevaluate things, forcing you to look at things from a different perspective, try some different angles, some different points of view. Maybe get a different perspective from someone else, right? We see some indication of that. We'll get to that in a minute on the path of the serpent here. But sticking to the path of the dove, this, I think, is why you're here today. Because of this position that you're in. Because of this kind of suspended progress, right? Things are kind of in limbo. And you're hanging on, but you really don't know what's coming next or how to get out of this situation. I think the situation is one where you're going to have to fight and struggle and strive to get out of it. I think you'll succeed in getting out of it, but I don't think that there's going to be much of a material gain from that. You know what I mean? Like you're going to maybe get yourself out of this situation and get back to a baseline, right? Get back to where you were before, but there's really going to be no increase. So it's almost as if you've taken a couple of steps back now, and then you're going to regain those couple of steps this week, right? But not anything else. So we're just trying to get you back to kind of where you were. Does that make sense? Is that resonating with you? And that's what I see here with the Seven of Discs especially. This is, again, a lot of this effort, no real gain. But I do think that you're regaining, right? You're gaining the steps that you've lost. And that is because of this awkward position that you're in. Now, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know why this is or what this was about. Maybe if we look at your previous week tarot reading, or maybe the monthly from last month or something, we'll see a clue about why this is and what this position is all about and kind of how you got here, right? But this is in the past. This is in the recent past. Now, there's a possibility for some of you that this hasn't quite happened yet. This might be the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, here, middle of the week, and then the end of the week or the immediate future. We've got a Seven of Cups. Now, we went from a Seven of Discs, showing that there's going to be no real material or financial gain from this, right? That you're going to be just kind of barely regaining the steps that you've lost, regaining what you've lost and getting back to baseline, right? And then in the immediate future, which could be towards the end of the week, right, if we're trying to look at this in a linear fashion. And this Seven of Discs is saying that you're not really going to gain anything emotionally or in terms of your values or your feelings or, you know, the value that you place on things. I'm not talking ethics here. I'm talking about the worth that you place on this situation, the environment, the people and things involved, right? How you view them, how you feel about all of this. You're not going to be gaining much pleasure or satisfaction. Indeed, I think the opposite is true. I think you're going to be losing a little bit of faith, hope, optimism, trust in the people that are involved here. The entity, the larger group of people, the situation itself is going to kind of spoil any of those good vibes that you had for these people, for this situation, this group of people, this church, temple, lodge, order, this corporation, this company, or this living situation, if you have a lot of roommates, something like that. But it's a larger group of people. And it's going to sour your feelings about them a little bit. You're certainly not going to come out of this feeling better about these folks, right? And I don't know, with this Seven of Cups, I don't think you're going to be regaining the little bit of love that was lost when you enter this position, right? When this Hanged Man manifests, you've taken those couple of steps back, like I've said. I don't think you're going to be regaining those steps in terms of your feelings, your emotions, and the value that you place on these other people, this group of people, okay? So I think you're going to come out of this, you're going to be back to baseline in terms of finances or physically or, you know, in that realm. But in terms of your feelings, you're still going to have a little bit of animosity, a little bit of resentment. And I can't say that I blame you for that, you know. It's easy to forgive and forget, but maybe not always, right? Now, the reason why I think this is in terms of a larger group of people is because down here at the bottom we see the Hierophant, and now this is in the position of being just beneath the surface, right? And when I get that overhead camera, you'll be able to see what I'm looking at here, and I really do think that's going to add a whole lot to these tarot readings. If you could see from my point of view how these energies line up, I think it'll really add a new depth to these readings. Now, underneath everything else, at the bottom of the Path of the Dove, we have the Hierophant. This is a larger group of people. So this is representing your church, lodge, temple, order, maybe school, university, maybe the company that you work for, maybe the group of people that you live with, domestic situation, your community, your neighborhood, a larger group of people. And this is saying a couple of things. One, it's representing that group of people and saying underneath the surface, yeah, this is really about your relationship with this group, right? Maybe you're kind of the black sheep of the group. Maybe you're just kind of the odd one out, something. Maybe you were really a full-fledged member of good standing, but then something happened. There was some kind of, I don't know that it was betrayal. I'm not seeing any indication really of betrayal. I think it was just some kind of a loss, some kind of a pain or suffering that occurred, maybe through no one's fault, no one's, malice or ill intentions, because I'm not seeing any of that either. So whatever happened might really not be anyone's fault, but the fact is that it happened, you're in this position, or you will be if my timing is off, which I've been told that before, that my timing might be a little off sometimes. It could be happening towards the beginning of the week, right? You'll find yourself in that position if you don't already. And then this Hierophant is also trying to let you know that this is a learning experience, okay? Obviously, there are lessons to be learned. There is something to be gained here, not financially or physically. You're not going to be profiting from this, right? But you, in a certain sense, you will be, and I think that's in terms of the life lesson that you're going to receive from this, all right? Whatever the situation is, whatever that hanged man issue is, whatever that situation is, try to find the silver lining. Try to find the lesson that may be embedded in there somewhere. Okay? That's really all you can hope to gain from this. Because I think you'll recover financially if there's any kind of a loss physically or financially. You'll regain those 2 steps. You're not going to feel very good about the situation, about the people involved. It's not going to be just warm love and celebration again, right? That's already spoiled, I think. So the most that you can hope for is that this is a learning experience, this is a life lesson, this is something that's going to prepare you for the future, make you stronger, make you a wiser person. Okay, Hierophant card. Now the last card on the path of the dove here is at the top of the spread. And you can see that this card really is shining its light down on the entire path of the dove here. And this is the 9 of Cups. This, every time I come to the 9 of Cups or the 10 of Cups, I always say this is like one of my favorite cards, right? And I think I have a lot of favorite cards in the tarot deck, especially the Thoth Tarot, which is what we're using today. But this card represents your highest ideals, your aspirations, what this whole reading is really about, right? What the abstract theme is, what the general kind of plot of this whole thing is, right? What the meaning truly is deep down. The details, yeah, are this situation here and your reaction to it, how you get out of it, what it's going to require, who it's with, all of those details, the particulars. But generally, it's about your happiness, success, fulfillment, love, trust, faith, hope, all of these wonderful things that you aspire to. You want true fulfillment, satisfaction. You want to be on that path. You want to pursue that happiness. And this is the 9 of Cups. It's not the 10, right? The pip cards go from ace to 10. 10 would be the final stage of your fulfillment and happiness. The 9, one step back from that. Do we want to get to the 10? Do we want to have that final ultimate pleasure and satisfaction? I don't. Because then there's nothing else to really strive for. And now my thoughts on this change a little bit, because I think after we get to that 10 of Cups, that ultimate satisfaction, well then what does the energy do? It goes up to the Ace of Swords, which is that new idea, the epiphany, the wisdom, the understanding, and then we start down the path of the swords, right? Which is kind of one level up, one revolution of the spiral beyond the cups, beyond the, you know, the pleasure and the relationships and that emotional fulfillment and that satisfaction, right? But I don't want to get into that too much, really. Let's save that for another day. But I think with the Nine of Cups, this is as close to perfection as we can get. So this is held up as our ideal. And in this reading, on the path of the dove here, in this position, this is the highest that you can aspire to. This is that damn near perfect, that sweet spot of pleasure and happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment. And this is the emotional fulfillment, that joy that you're striving for. When you succeed in whatever you're doing, whatever your path is in life, whatever your focus is, whatever your work is, whether it's, you know, financial, mundane work, you know, or if it's creative work, if you're on a path of just love and enlightenment, whatever your path, right? Whatever your flavor. This is that highest ideal, and this is what you're striving for. And then we look down at all these cards and we see that you're in this hanged man position. There's fighting, there's spoiled emotions and feelings and relations with people. And we've got this group of people, this life lesson that you're going through right now. So it's just something to keep in mind that, look, you're really striving for this near perfect, ideal, happiness, joy, fulfillment, right? So the idea here is to use this situation, right? Everything that's below it here on the path of the dove, use all of that and see how it fits into your ultimate goal of pleasure and satisfaction and joy and good feelings, right? That aspiration that you have, that ultimate goal. So in some way it's going to fit into that, or it's going to feed into that, or it's going to give you some sort of wisdom or insight into your path toward your ultimate happiness and fulfillment. Okay, so this is just a little bump in the road leading to your happiness and your fulfillment. Okay, now I don't want to spend too much time on the Nine of Cups. So let's move on. Yeah, I think enough has been said about that. That's kind of just what to keep in mind going through this situation. Keep that at least in the back of your mind there, so you can remember what this is all really for, right? Okay, so path of the serpent here. This is an interesting path because we have a lot of major arcana. We had a couple majors on the path of the dove too, so I think that's definitely a heavy situation. It's definitely something to pay attention to and deal with. And I know we didn't spend too much time on this Five of Wands, but this obviously is that force and fire, that fight, struggle, battle, don't give up. Really fight to get yourself out of this situation, right? Don't expect to profit from it. Just expect to merely get back to baseline, like I said, okay? So I know I didn't spend too much time on the five, but that's really straightforward. It's gonna be a fight, but you got it. Now, the card in the position of your headspace, where your mind is at, where your thinking is lately, right? The Wheel of Fortune. Now, I think this really does relate to this, your goals, aspirations, like what this is all for you, what kind of a path you're on. And that is for this happiness, this fulfillment, this, as close to your ideal happiness and joy that you can get, right? Your pursuit of that kind of fulfillment. And I think lately you've really been feeling like you've been on this crazy vibe with the world, right? Like I feel like you've been really in sync with the universe. Things have just been working out for you. I think maybe you're seeing synchronicities everywhere. Every sign is telling you, hey, you're on the right path. Things are getting better and better. You're feeling better and better. You feel like you're getting closer to your goal, to this just ultimate happiness in life. And then something like this comes along and you're in this hanged man position. You've got this whole thing on the path of the dove happening. And so there's a little bit of conflict there because you feel like You've been on such a roll lately. Now, why is this happening? But I think this is where you really need to focus on the Hierophant and the Nine of Cups. Use this as a learning experience. Understand that this is all part of the plan. This is just how things are meant to be. And I don't care if you believe in fate and destiny or luck, free will, coincidence, whatever your metaphysical bent is. I think this is happening for a reason. And at the very least, you're not able to go back in time and prevent this from happening, right? You don't have that capability yet. So you're going to have to use it as a learning experience, or you're going to suffer. You're going to have the hanged man energy, and it's going to be miserable. So I think the very least that we can do is try to learn from it. Try to see how it fits into the bigger picture, and try to see how this is still part of our harmony and our being in sync with the universe, right? And if you believe that there really are no such things as coincidences, then you can definitely view this as just another step on your path, right? Because you still have this wheel that's rolling, and you're rolling with it, and things are happening as they should. They are unfolding as they should. The only thing that you really are responsible for is how you act and react to the situations that you're in, the choices that you make, right? So I think that is the indication there with that Wheel of Fortune. Now, the next card that we come to is the Star card. And this is in terms of your relationships with other people. So it could be this group of people that you're involved with here. This could be kind of indicating what that relationship was like, or how you related to them, how you envisioned your relationship with them, your place in that group. I think you took a lot of inspiration from this group, from the individuals, from the group as a whole, from its activities, its beliefs, its whatever kind of group of people this was. If this is your community, your workplace, whatever it may be, temple, church, lodge, order. I think you took a lot of inspiration from this group, right? I think you had one of these relationships with these people that you thought was really part of your path. That was really part of your Nine of Cups, part of your pursuit of your happiness, right? And so you're really invested here. You really put a lot of yourself into it. You really opened up and really connected with this group, with these people. And it was a very kind of enlightening relationship. It was a very, almost like a spiritual kind of bond that you had with this group of people. Now, just because you're going through this situation doesn't mean that that spiritual bond isn't still there. But it may be changing. It may be part of your path that this is all going to change, right? And maybe this situation, this hanged man situation that we're talking about, is part of this inspiration. It's part of this wisdom, this divine light that you're receiving from above to provide whatever lesson it's going to provide to move you along, advance you on your path in whichever way it's going to do that, right? Which I don't know. I don't know the details of this. So I think that the Star card is really important here to remind us that we're still receiving that divine grace, that blessing. There's still that spiritual insight. There's still that connection. There's still that inspiration to be gained from this situation. It's not just something to lament and feel miserable about. Although you might lament and feel miserable, but there's also that lesson to be learned. There's also, in some way, this is a blessing kind of vibe to it, right? And you may not see that for some time. It may be days, weeks, months before you realize that this indeed is a blessing. Okay, but it may not feel that way immediately. And in fact, I don't think I almost am certain that it won't feel that way immediately. It's going to feel like this immediately. It's going to feel like there is some spoilage. There is some love lost. It is kind of a decaying and ruined feeling. But that might change. And again, we see that star card. So I think part of the reason why it does feel so bad is because you have a lot invested in this group of people. You've taken a lot of inspiration from them. You felt really connected. So then it's going to hurt a little bit more going through this situation, okay? But trust in this Wheel of Fortune. And this is your spirit guides. This is the Great Spirit, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, that is right there with you, leading you down your path, okay? And if you don't believe in any of that hocus pocus, this is your true self. This is the highest part of your mind, that wisest part of you that kind of knows where it's going and is able to lead, let's say, your personality or your ego, knows much more than we do. So you can trust in yourself, basically, okay? So it doesn't matter what you believe. The point is, you've got to trust in the universe and the way things are unfolding. And focus more on your choices. Focus more on this fight that you need to have to get out of this situation. And then focus on gaining the insight from it, learning the lesson, understanding what the implications of this situation are, and how it truly is benefiting you, maybe in the long run, not in the short term, not financially, not in the short term, but in the long term. Okay. Now, the next card on the path of the Serpent is another major arcana card, heavyweight influence, lust, strength. This is the control of your magical force. This is the control that you need to exert over yourself. Okay. And this is right there with what I said about controlling your reactions, controlling your behaviors, how you act and react to what's going on. This is where this fighting spirit, this force and fire energy come from. It comes from this lust card, right? Which is both a power source within you, but in the world around you, in the universe too. You're kind of tapping into this universal magical power. And it's very aggressive, it's very uncontrolled. But it's up to you to control that. And you've got to use just enough of it with this Five of Wands, enough of this fire and force to get yourself out of this situation. And then contain it again. Then be in control of yourself. Don't lose control. Stay in control. And this is also in the position of your fears and worries. So I think that maybe there is a little bit of anxiety about this situation because it feels like a loss of control. It feels perhaps that you might lose control of yourself a little bit, right? That you might not be able to rein it in when it needs to be reined in. But this is that fear to overcome. And the next card is kind of right along those lines. This is the Seven of Wands. This is the culmination of this energy. This is saying a couple of things. One, it's saying that you are just one individual. You're up against this larger force, right? David and Goliath kind of situation. But you've got this because you've got this force and fire. You've got this strength, this lust to conquer and succeed. That's going to manifest as the Five of Wands, right? So you can be this rather minor central staff up against these larger, more polished, more powerful wands, right? You can go up against these greater odds and get yourself out. Again, it's not going to be immediately profitable, but you're going to succeed. You're going to get yourself out of this situation, get back to baseline, okay? It may be a narrow escape, but you're going to make it. And then this is also saying that, look, if you don't maintain control of yourself, after you've used this Five of Wands, force and fire, you've got to rein that energy back in. Otherwise, it's going to overwhelm you. It's going to drain you. And I think you'll end up feeling that physically, right? Because the Seven of Wands is sometimes about that physical fatigue when there is a drain of our energy somewhere. And I think in this context, it's saying that the drain is going to come from this power, this force and fire that we're using to get out of this hanged man situation. But then you've got to come back, you've got to rein it in, you've got to breathe, right? Calm down. Restrain all of that fire energy. Okay. So Aquarius, we're going to look now at this confirmation card and see, I don't know what this might be giving us. Maybe a 4 of discs, I think, you know, that kind of earthly power would be a good confirmation here. Maybe a 10 of cups, just because we mentioned it. I don't know. If that is the case, you know, there might be more about the feeling aspect here than we initially thought. But let's find out. Let's just get right to it and see what that is. Okay, 3 of discs. I was thinking 4 of discs. We got the 3 of discs. Pretty close. Now, the 3 of discs is confirming that, you know, you're going to have to, a couple of things. In this situation, you're going to have to really put all of yourself into it. You're going to have to commit to this fight, you know, whatever this battle is going to be to get yourself out of this situation. You're going to have to commit physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? You're going to have to be all in. Commit to it, use your magical energy, use your force and fire, and take care of it, right? Extricate yourself from that situation. Get back to baseline. And then this is also saying that, look, going into the future, you've got to focus on what your will and your goal is. If your path doesn't involve this group of people anymore, so be it. Because this 3 of discs is really about you using all of your skills and talents, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual energy to do your work, to be on your path, right? And this machine, when it's working, anything that doesn't belong in there just gets thrown off, right? Anything that tries to enter this machine just gets rejected, right? That's kind of the vibe here. That you need to take and accept what works for you, what leads you to your goal. And if this situation or this group of people aren't leading you to your goal any longer, then the usefulness is done. It's time for you to move on. Because you're this machine. You're this, like, you know, this spiritual machine that is just keeps working, even unconsciously, even while you're sleeping, right? It's always there, working toward your goal. And I think the goal is whatever this ultimate happiness and joy looks like for you. And it could be any variety of things that you envision as your ultimate goal, right? Your general overall happiness and success, whatever that looks like. That's where the work needs to go. That's where the energy needs to go, right? But first, you got to take care of the situation. Now, we're going to look at this a little bit more in the extended version. If you want to become a member to this channel, you can click on the link in the description box. This was your weekly tarot forecast on Dove and Serpent Tarot.